Not So Christian Brothers podcast. Here we go. And obviously, if you're listening to this, thank you so much. And like and subscribe and do all the things that are necessary to encourage us to become multimillionaires. And if you are watching on YouTube, we have a different look now because we did a geolocation a couple of days ago when Justin was in France and you were skiing in France, but some technological avalanches occurred and we had to record again. But this time, and you'll see her in a few minutes' time, producer Rebecca is in South Africa. So there you are, yes, in South Africa. Well, that's clearly South Africa. Yeah, there's no doubt.
It could be the Shannon, for God's sake.
But it's the South African Shannon.
Same parents, different timelines, and united by chaos. Strap in for the not-so-Christian brothers.
And the show must go on, Not So Christian Brothers, which is Justin Caffrey, my brother, Colm Hayes, that's me. We are brothers. Our mother is Frances Caffrey. We can produce birth certificates if required by the police or the authorities when this does go legal. Yeah, we all happy with that?
That's very good, yeah. Non-legal before we had a previous name of our podcast and we got sued by an international rock group.
Yes.
So we're kind of hoping not to get sued again, but you know what? Equally, we're just old.
I know.
We don't really care.
Yeah, but Justin's being really calm about that. That is ongoing, Justin.
Oh, yes, it is ongoing. But I think the Christian Brothers are in a bit of trouble anyway at the moment. Certainly, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, the lads, I'll just call them the lads who control Blackrock College. The Spiritans, isn't it, or something like that? But
isn't it the Jesuits? Oh, that's the Spiritans.
No, they changed to the Spiritans, and they found that they were so Blackrock College itself was passing information, GDPR information, to the Spiritans about an abuse victim, and he took them to court and he won. It looks like he's in the process of winning, but I think he's going to win, and that's going to open up a floodgate for that particular order, who seem to be hiding all their financial assets in strange places. And the account that will pay out any reparations seems to be very short in funds.
Yeah, well, like any good divorce, right? You want to make sure that you hive off some of the assets. And I think the Jesuits are an interesting thing. I've been watching some videos over the last few days about all these kind of conspiracies of end of world theories and second coming of Jesus, and that's why the Iran war is being prosecuted.
Okay.
And part of the whole controlling mechanisms of the entire world, the Jesuits are one of them, along with the Masons and the Israelis and the Jewish heritage and the right-wing Christian Americans, right? And they're all coming together for this end of days, this was like mad stuff like 2 weeks ago, but actually on Sky News today there is a whole 5-minute piece on this, talking about how the military are now actually proselytizing. That's a hard word to say.
The proselytizing, the great word.
Great religious actions from the Bible to show that this is the end of days, and everybody's fighting about whose Jesus is going to come back. So the Jesuits, Blackrock College is a small issue in comparison to the fact that they are ushering in the second coming of Jesus, which, by the way, my initials are JC, and I'm open for any kind of...
There you go, for any gigs.
Any gigs in the Middle East. If it's warm and sunny and not raining, I'm there. I've already said I'm happy to go and live there.
Is Jesus exhausted at this stage, lads, though?
I'd say he's knackered. I mean, it's 2,000 years. He's been hanging around behind the door thinking, any minute now I need to come back in again. And we need to get on with this war so I can come. But he doesn't know if he has to come back in as the first Jewish Jesus, because they don't recognize our Jesus. So he will be their first Jesus.
Yeah.
Or he's coming in as an Islamic type Jesus. But equally, he could come in, and it's written in the Quran that if the Israelis sack the sacred temples, that he would actually come back in as Satan. And you know he's Satan because he's disfigured. So whoever's going to come out now and be disfigured. So if it's a bit of an ugly Jesus, not the lovely fellow with the fantastic beard and the blue piercing eyes, if he looks a little bit like, he's been in 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, he's Satan.
Now, I have my theory that Jesus is ready to come back, right? But he's not sure, and he's just looking for a PR or a marketing campaign to really, jazz up his image. So he needs something like that, and it's like crisis management. Crisis management. Somebody
The
gets
podcast could be the Not So Christian Brothers and Jesus in his second iteration.
yeah, could be.
I mean, we're looking for sponsors right now, so we could call in the Catholic Church. They've got a few quid. They could sponsor us.
On a side note, my adopted name is initials are JC as well.
Wow, really?
Yeah, my adopted name is John Christopher.
Really?
There you go.
So it's just Colm and I that are completely bunched, basically.
Oh,
You're
no, Rebecca. No,
Oh.
my name is Colm Gerard James Caffrey. So if I go just with my confirmation name and my real surname, I'm also JC.
So it's
Kind
just
of
the
grasping
proddy.
at
It's
Jesus'
just the
straws
proddy.
here, though.
Sorry, what? Sorry, who's shouting at me?
Just the Protestant here isn't allowed to be part of the Jesus Club, is it?
Oh, you're the first to go.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. You're
Okay.
damned.
That's what you get for calling his mother a slag.
So that court case is coming soon, and the marketing campaign for Jesus Christ, and that's going to be really interesting. But the other one, which we tipped on a couple of weeks ago, was the start of this court case against Meta, where this family took Meta to court, saying that they had. Sorry, I've just got the ruling here in front of me. So. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay. Parents and campaign groups seeking tighter restrictions on social media have welcomed a Los Angeles jury handing down an unprecedented win for a young woman who sued Meta and YouTube over her childhood addiction to social media. She will now receive $3 million in compensation and $3 million to cover legal costs as well. So you're looking at $6 million altogether, the woman known as Kaylee. Now, this is the second case. There was another case, I think, down in New Orleans where they also were found guilty, and now it is going to open up floodgates. Now, Snapchat and one of TikTok have already settled out of court, but they reckon that there's 150 cases waiting now to be heard on exactly the same case. And could this be not the beginning of the end, but the beginning of accountability?
Well, cumulatively, they're saying the worst case scenario is that if all cases were coming in, right, and they were hit with like a mass lawsuit for people claiming that their mental health has been impacted, the cumulative loss would be 60 billion to Meta, right, and equivalent then across to other companies. But 60 billion is actually less than their net revenue for 1 year. So they've actually grown to such a behemoth that they can actually survive a mass of lawsuits. And they'll probably be able to get legislation changed in time as well over the next year to stop it. It'll be like the legislation with what's that family, the Sacklers.
Oh, yes, over Oxycontin.
So, I think it's positive. But I think the key principle is, on the whole, it's very difficult to prove, and I don't mean on your whole. It's very difficult to prove. Stick that on your whole. It's very difficult to prove that everybody's mental health has been impacted by social media. I mean, personally, I don't feel like my mental health has been impacted by social media. So it's then a question of what percentage of the population is infected. And it's kind of like, those kind of PPI claims, if you've been missold, whatever, payment protection on your loan in the UK, it was always on TV constantly saying, phone this number and get your money. I think that will start happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Ambulance chasers chasing Meta and Zuckerberg down the street. But does it not also, in a marketing terms, we were talking about trying to remarket Jesus, in a marketing term and in optics, I mean, they've got to change something. They've got to show that they are not creating these sort of algorithms that are causing people to just stray from their family. Or will we now see greater control? Because we're seeing it in Australia. There's a project being rolled out in the UK. Will they have to change the way they now go after people? Because the optics now are for a while we thought social media is okay. It's a bit of a laugh. It's Facebook, it's Instagram. We now have a case where it has affected a child's mental health, and there's another case coming up where a mother is battling because her child took her life, and she says it's a direct consequence of the algorithm of social media, TikTok. Is it not a case now where they just have to change? Do you think they're just going to pay the money and just roll through, and there's going to be no accountability?
I think it's cigarettes, right? Yes,
the cigarettes have changed completely.
Well, but exactly, but
Yeah.
the money was made before they had to change.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And they're still highly profitable, very, very successful businesses that run big tobacco, right? They're still massive entities. So I think these businesses are too big. They're too diversified.
But do you think they're too big to fail?
Totally. Yeah, like if 60 billion is less than 1 year's net income, then absolutely. I mean, they're everywhere, right? The reason why I'm talking to you right now is because of those systems. So unless big tech fails and unless Silicon Valley fails on the back of this, but there's too many interests at play that are dependent on it. Like if you think about all of our business interests, whatever any of us in this podcast are doing in our business lives, in our lives, if Meta shuts down, if Google shuts down, a lot of us just lose our jobs.
No, I know. I
It's
understand.
bigger than that.
Yeah, I get that. But do you not think that the optics now are that they have to change?
Oh, but they are. They're gonna
operating.
move, and they've been doing this. They're gonna move to say over 18s, you can't use it, and that's the way it is. And then the kids, the 20-30% of the kids that are incredulous to authority. So the kind of way that I grew up. And then the balance, the nerdy ones with the cowboy boots and the big glasses that look like a putter, how you grew up, will then not get to see porn. But people like me, I will be busy hustling away in the background, watching porn.
Hustle is a good word to use for porn. Hustle is a great word because of hustler. I did mention my that was a question actually that we can answer from the previous podcast that didn't happen. The one about my looking like a putter.
Yeah, those boots are made for throwing.
I don't know. I mean, you talk about the cigarette industry, and that's how the huge change in advertising, and they couldn't go out anymore. There was. I mean, when you think back to the 40s and the 50s, everybody was smoking. Smoking is now, it's poo-pooed now. While if you think it in the 50s, 40s, smoking was like cool. It was the coolest thing to do. Now it's not cool. We know it's damaging us. People are not smoking the way they did before. We're taxing the thing off the scales. It's 19 euros for a pack of 20 in Ireland now. So that whole industry has changed. I think there has to be some sort. I think there will be some sort of change. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't think it's all going to shut down. Absolutely not. But I think there might be a change of some sort. I'd like to think there is. I'd like to think they become morally, they'd start taking the responsibility serious.
Yeah, but I think, look, honestly,
yeah,
broke my mic. But this is just your view on the world all the time, right? You want these things to change.
Why are you whispering? They're not. They're listening if they want to.
What if they're here?
Yeah, hang on there. Listen, this is at this moment in time. This is being transcribed in Beijing.
Meta, I am all in. Now, you are, always wanting to hope for, this evangelical change of society where people, will have this moment of grace and favor and they'll love each other again.
Yeah.
And we're back to like living in Smurfland. It's just, this is a massive business, right?
I know, but things do change.
They'll do a bit. They'll do the minimum. And their lawyers right now are actively trying to find what's the minimum that gets us through the gap.
I know, but I'm that sort of liberal, sugar-coated lawyer that just takes on all of these and wants to change the world. I'm like your man in Erin Brockovich. What was his name? Albert Finney. I think we all need certain levels of accountability, but it's not going to happen anyway. But we'll keep watching this and see what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
well,
put
you're
it this
not
way:
like Julia Roberts and Aaron Brockovich.
No, because I don't have those breasts or that low cut. Do you remember in that movie everything she wore?
You have got breasts. I mean, you have got breasts.
No, that's called muscle. That's part of my 8-pack, 6 and 2 up there.
I'd love to do a whole topic on
Excuse
dad
me?
bods in one of
Do
the
a whole-
pods.
Do a whole what? Sorry. Oh, on dad bods.
I'd
Okay.
love to do dad bods.
And do we have to both be topless for it?
No, I just want to discuss it. I think it's a really horrible word, but we'll do it in another pod.
I'm
Yes.
working hard on mine at the moment. Beatrice has got me on her program. I want to lose 4 kilos before the summertime.
How many is 4 kilos in pounds?
No idea. I live with a German. Pounds were kicked out of my house 20 years ago. I can't remember anymore.
You can't even Google it in your house now.
No, it's bad. If it's not the metric system, it's out.
I see. I'm old school. 4 kilo in pounds is 8.8 pounds.
Yeah, that sounds like a bargain.
A big man could poo that in 2 days.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have got big boobs, so
Big boobs. I like big boobs. Oh no, that was different with those big butts. Yeah.
do you know, just as a sidebar, but it just reminded me of something. Do you remember School Around the Corner with I think it was like with Eamon Andrews, the old black and white version. We're talking about holes, and like a hole in Ireland is considered to be like your asshole, right?
Yeah.
It's your anus.
Yes.
For Americans.
Good morning.
And there was this. They did this thing where they interviewed these little kids from deprived areas of Dublin, and he's interviewing this young little kid, and this young little kid is telling him that he has a horse, and he's going, "My God, you have a horse? That's incredible!" And he goes, "Yeah, we did." But he said, "The horse died," and he went, "Oh no, the horse died. What did you do?" "Oh, well, we buried him. We had to bury him in the garden." And Eamon Andrews says to him, "Oh my God, you had to bury the horse in the garden." He went, "Oh yeah, like it was very sad that we lost him and everything else." And then Eamon Andrews said to him, "So when you were burying him in the garden, like what did you do then? Like was he still alive or did you have to put him down?" And he went, "Yeah, no, we broke his leg, like so we had to put him down. We had to shoot him." And Eamon Andrews says, "Well, what did you do? Like, did you shoot him in the hole?" And the kid goes, "Ah, no, Jesus, we shot him in the head." You'll find that on YouTube, and it's just brilliant.
God, was that show live? It obviously was.
Yeah. And the kid is just incredulous because he just thinks, how can you possibly think that we shoot the horse in his ass rather than in his head?
I shot him in the hole. Oh, God, terrible. That was terrible. Hey, did we sort of cover Manosphere? Are we all good? Are we shocked? God. Do you know what? I mean, you just talk to me about I want to change the world and make it all very morally acceptable and all that sort of stuff. But there's nothing in Manosphere, right, that shocked me. Because it's like it's all it is, that misogyny, that disrespect, that way that some men view women has been there since day one. And all we're seeing now is it all over social media and all, but it's not like it suddenly stopped. I just think it's now been given a platform. I mean, like there was ad campaigns back in the 50s about how to keep your man happy and make sure when he comes home, you have the drink ready for him and the slippers are there, So we almost created, what these guys are going on about, marketing created.
I lock Beatrice in a room regularly once a month with those ad campaigns playing, and she's not allowed out. It just doesn't work. But I think I saw a great thing with Jimmy Carr being asked in a live gig yesterday by one of his audience to comment on Manosphere, and he made a great comment. He said, "Look, tell you what they were doing right. They're actually talking to young men." So he said they may not be the most intelligent, capable, nice human beings, but if we're not talking to young men, somebody will be. And right now it's these guys. And I think in large part, from a societal perspective, we're not having still enough of a conversation with young men. If you look at Scott Galloway, I think he does fantastic work in this area because, he's kind of like middle to right in his politics and his business approach and his humor as well. He's probably anti woke, but not obnoxious. So he's not, anti, whatever people want to do with their sex lives. He's like all in, go for it. But I think we have to have a bit more rough and tumble in our approach and our communication, because this is what guys are drawn to. If we want to kind of feminize masculinity, then it will go off and it will find its way with extreme masculinity. We have to embrace masculinity for what it is, and in many ways, it's got marginalized.
As in what? Okay, so what's the bits that we need to, you know, focus in on masculinity, like that you're saying that is not going to lead us to the extreme misogynistic views that we see in Manosphere, and is not going to allow, and I know what you mean, allow to slip back or slip away from being masculine. I mean, there has to be a line drawn between masculinity and femininity, you know. But what is it?
I don't think like it's drawing lines. I think it's highly ineffective, right?
No, but you're saying that we have to accept or embrace a certain level of masculinity, you know, that is acceptable without going too far or without going.
We have to have conversations about what it is to be a man. To be
Well, what is it?
right? To be successful, to want to strive, to want to be number one. You know, we've got to this point in society where let's not compete. Let's give everybody a medal, right? And in large parts in small groups, you know, maybe you do get a bunch of people who want to have that everybody win. But equally, for young men and for masculinity, there is a desire to be successful. And there's a desire for that within young women too.
That's what I'm saying. But
I think we're pushed too hard to the point where we don't want to really push the merits of young men too much. We want to elevate all of the things that are good about young women, which is fantastic because we have to create some level of equality. But equality never works in an equal measure. So what's happened is we have tried to equalize women, but that's at the behest of men. And
I agree.
We then see young men doing what we see on Manosphere. I'm not saying that we have to do wrong. Sorry, Bex.
I shockingly agree with Justin. I want to cover this on the after show with you for a female perspective on this, but I am in agreement and nodding about, you know, masculating men taking away a lot of what their roles were. And I speak a lot about this on a podcast I do, how if there's no defined role, it can be quite dangerous for men and for women, and leaning into their femininity, which I try and do, and your masculinity as a woman, where it comes to, you know, the achievements that we, you know, seek and our ambition, and men. But I do think we're in a gray area where the lines are blurred. People don't know what their roles are, and therefore you're going to have all of this contempt, resentment. It's like when you have the outsiders, right? So if you do that to a block of people, and I just think there's so many people feeling isolated, men or young boys, and then they go in this kind of extreme. It's much like religion, but I do think we should cover it. We have to wrap this one up, guys, because I'm in Africa with the old Wi-Fi for the after show.
Yeah, just on that, and I don't disagree with anything you said, but we all say we have to define what the role is and the man's role and female role, but I'm not hearing what it is, because what you said there a few minutes ago, Justin, about being successful and being this sort of person, and that could be a woman as well. So I'm not hearing what is completely and absolutely a masculine role that is okay and we're all happy with, that is completely different to a feminist role, but doesn't leak into misogyny. What is that? It's not sports.
Okay. It's okay to be physical. It's okay to be aggressive. It's like okay to strive. It's okay to push on. It's not okay to hurt other people along the way, but it's okay to be physical, masculine, strong, determined. These are the traits.
Okay, but the only word
to teach kids it's not okay to have anymore.
No, but it's fine. All of those words, the only word there that you put in was masculine. Everything else you said, you could apply to a female. They should be strong because
I think, Colm, the point is men have lost that.
But
no,
the point
I don't think they have.
Not
in sports.
I'm sorry, but the mood music has been overly supportive of young women for the past 20 years. Look, why do we have all these statistics? This is not my view. This is clear fact in terms of what we see with particularly white males in the Western world and where we are in terms of right-wing politics. So we have to either decide that we want to allow us to have good conversations about being male or not. Last point in this, and we'll go to the after show, is first time I ever experienced this was I met a German girl before I met my wife 20 odd years ago, and I was having dinner with her one night, and we were on holiday at the time in Dubai, and she said to me over dinner, I tell you what I really like about you, you're quite masculine, and that's gone in German men. And I thought, what are you talking about? But actually, I've seen that it happened, and actually, it happens in Germany faster than it happened here. But it is happening, and if we allow that to happen, the extremes go and listen to somebody else, just like Islamic extremism.
I'm getting, I'm on. Okay, so for me, if I've dropped in from Mars, right, and you're saying, and then, well, I think we can do this in the after show. You're saying that the lines are now completely blurred, and men need to be more like men. But all we're using is the same word. Men need to be men, and women need to be women. I'm not getting what it is that our young men need to be masculine. But anything you've said there,
marginalized men for too long at this point for the last 20 years to raise women. That's great. We should raise women and we should create equality. But what we've done is it's a seesaw effect. We've raised women and we've downgraded men. And the consequences are the manosphere. The consequences are right-wing politics. The consequences are Pete Hegseth. The consequences are war and aggression.
No, but the consequences of that, I don't believe that. I believe that.
Got to go to the after show.
Okay, but just so we can do this, I believe the fact is that we are not defining what a man is anymore.
I think we have defined it. I think you're pushing against it.
No, absolutely not. All I'm saying is any definition that you brought could be applied to a woman. What is the actually completely different in 2026 that a man can be, and he doesn't have to head off to the manosphere?
I'm not here as the Oxford Dictionary. What I'm trying to say to you is,
I'm trying to find out what it is.
Well, I'm not here to define it. I'm not.
No, I know.
What I'm saying to you is the reason we're here is because we have allowed men to be sidelined. And we've allowed women to move into the ascendancy.
Okay.
And unless we get to the point where men don't feel like they're in that minority, and go and speak to young men, go and speak to men under the age of 25. They will talk to you openly about this feeling. We have to bring them back in again. People like Scott Galloway do it really well.
No, I understand.
Maybe it's an after show where we can keep arguing because I have to go soon.
Okay.
That's why he's talking about Manosphere. Catch us on Thursdays, and we have an after show on Sunday, which we have all a huge. We're hugely cross with Colm, so great.
So okay, I'm gonna start the after show. But
he has said before that he wants to come out as a lesbian.
No, you can't come out as a lesbian. You can't come out as a lesbian. But I think we're missing a very vital point with all this bullshit that I hear all the time about men being men and men not being men and misogyny, all that. We're missing a very important point.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Have a great show.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.